Okay, go ahead. 13.
Let the minutes reflect that we are now back in open session. The closed session has been concluded by agreement of the parties. No matters were discussed other than the issue for which the closed session was taken. No votes were taken or any other action. There being no further discussion, is there a motion to end the closed session?
So moved.
Second.
A motion from Derby and a second from Smith to go back to end the closed session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That's that. So,
Take his other one, temporary easement. 6.
okay, consider for approval temporary easement for bridge replacement project, Norway Township, section 16.
So we have a bridge replacement project scheduled to bid this winter and to be replaced next summer. It's in Norway Township, north of Lake Mills on a gravel road. We have a few temporary easements that we're gonna get for this project just in case they have to dig a bypass channel and need some extra room. So this is the first of 2 from the Agnes H. Christ Family Trust. It's for $310.86. We pay 10% of fair market value for temporary easements, so it doesn't really add up very fast. Most of the time, it's just enough money to kind of make it worth the time to get a notarized signature from the landowners. I should have the other one shortly, I'm told.
Is this on the river or the drainage ditch?
Drainage ditch, is it 108?
Yeah.
Up there?
Yeah, it is.
You need a motion?
Yeah, motion.
I'll make the motion for approve a temporary easement for bridge replacement project in Norway Township, section 16.
I'll second it.
Motion from Smith and a second from Derby to approve the temporary easement for bridge replacement project, Norway Township, section 16. All in favor say aye.
Aye. That's a contracted one then?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll need a notary stamp on this, Carlos, so I'll just
Across that
Okay.
one last week.
get you that later.
Okay. Can we
Coming back from burnout.
squeeze in number 8? I assume you guys are going to stay here for that, so. Discussion with possible action, DD 92.
Chris, have to be here for that.
Yeah, everyone give her a call.
Yeah, 70.
5:11.
We're ready for you.
So this is the letter that Chris gave us.
That is for number 8, the letter I
That's
gave
where
you.
we're at
We're
right
on
now.
number 8.
Did you already do number
We're
7?
running out of time, so.
Well, yeah, we're
Okay.
going to try and squeeze it in so these guys don't have to suffer through any more of our excitement.
Got you. I don't have anything for number 7. So
All
this
right.
was, Ethan had been out to DD 92, saw some damages, sent the pictures to me. I forwarded them to Colin. Colin suggests that they do a surface drain pipe at that location. It would be outside the project. Larson's can do it before they go and do the seeding. So I just need a motion if that's what you choose to do.
Sounds like
How
it's
big of
needed.
a surface drain pipe did you do? No?
Sure, it wouldn't be very big.
It didn't say.
So there'll be an intake and a
That's,
surface drain, or?
that's what I don't really understand, because you'd have to
Surface drain.
do
is
some
one thing.
different dirt work to make that work.
I was just gonna say, if you're gonna have to build some kind of a
Flare
berm to,
intake.
Right,
I don't know. That's just what he came back with. I'm sorry, I didn't send
no,
it to you.
it's fine.
To me, that sounds more like what it's gonna be. What's gonna do. Those pans at the end.
Thursday.
I didn't send them the pictures.
That's what it's doing, I guess. You
Yeah,
can see
but I
it's,
assumed it was.
I went and saw it too.
you can see it's like ponded up right there, and that's just where it overflowed. But I don't know how you'd really,
I don't know how
Put a
to fix that
surface-
with a surface drain.
yeah, you'd have to do different dirt work to make that
It's like trying to.
work.
Well, yeah, wouldn't you have to build
have to-
this up some and then have a pipe coming in from back there?
Right.
But if you dig it out and put a pipe in, you'll have an extra there a little bit.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah, that's true, cause you're gonna wanna lower that area where the pipe's gonna be a little bit.
Yeah.
Sounds like the way to go, really.
Well, with all the excitement we've had invested in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's doable, I guess.
What would the other solution be?
The other problem is like it's all sloughed down into the bottom now, so that needs helping.
That'll have to be rebuilt, yeah, too also, so they're gonna have to have some kind of a piece of equipment out there for that,
Yeah,
for the whole thing.
unless they just do an intake and,
That's what I was wondering, if they were just gonna do an intake and then just
Oh,
dig it out. Oh,
Like a French drain one, farm right over it.
yeah,
I see that done all the time these days.
yeah.
so that's not gonna be farmed back in there though?
It's not.
No,
that's in the right of way, wouldn't it?
I don't think that's gonna be farmed in there.
No,
Is
it's
it?
just,
No.
it'll be like grass again.
It'll just be
Oh,
grass
okay.
and,
Part
so
of the
probably, pardon me?
It's part of the park
Yeah, it's part of the
Okay.
park.
where that is.
I just looked at it like it was beans.
There was beans a ways back from it, or, well, look, we're right close up to it, but I
I
would
think
assume that
that's,
there's right of way that it can be put in, so.
I think that's just grass
It's
back
part
there.
of,
I think that's just,
part of the park. There's a way they had seeded it, it made it look like
All
that.
right.
yeah, it's just, if we could have gotten grass growing or anything growing, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I think if there would've been like an erosion mat on the banks, it would've helped
Yeah.
out a ton.
We probably don't have a dollar figure to go with that, do we?
It needs to be done. Something needs to be done.
It doesn't have to be that big, really. Does it? What's the minimum we do, 16 or so?
Yeah, 15,
Yeah.
probably.
And plus that much.
Oh,
Somebody's gotta go out and clean
Somebody's gotta fix it
up
anyway.
the ditch
so-
anyway.
the hardest part will be cleaning up the bottom with that riprap and
Yeah.
stuff in there.
So they'll have to go in with the backhoe and.
Probably talking.
How deep is that right there? 12, 15?
Yeah. 5, 10, 15, all 15.
2,000-3,000, I would guess, probably.
So do we need a motion on that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make the motion to allow Larson Contracting, right? To go in and on DD 92, create some type of a surface drain and repair damages to that ditch and riprap.
I'll second it.
Motion Smith and second Derby to, repair DD 92, Larson Contracting. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
All right,
All
thank you.
right. And auditor's office will discuss drainage matters, and there is nothing, so we've got that done.
Okay, good, thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Mhm.
All right, 10 a.m. or shortly after, Mary Lou Cleveland, Veterans Affairs, to discuss quarterly report.
Need to wait a little bit.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Is it a mess down there?
Yes, it is.
Finding places to park?
The parking isn't so much, it just depends on where they can come in and out, so, yeah, sometimes it's my door, sometimes it's the regular door. Oh well, we're just fluxing and dealing with it, it's just, life, so, not a big deal. Okay, well, I'm pleased to give you the July to September quarterly report from Veterans Affairs. Numbers are probably a little bit lower overall. I think that's because summer tends to slow down a little bit, and I was on vacation for a week as well. So, but overall, really consistent. People know that I'm there definitely. During this quarter, I was able to attend training in Marshalltown, and we specifically had it in Marshalltown so we could go to the Iowa Veterans Home and get a tour of there, and I had never been there, so that was really an amazing experience. Training was excellent as well. And then I was able to submit the documentation of how I used last year's $10,000 grant, and so then once I did that, I was given another $10,000 grant for this year. In August, I met a presidential candidate, Ron DeSantis, and that was at FOB in Forest City. And, it was a very short event meeting him. We talked to him about the needs of veterans, especially in rural counties. But for me personally, I think another big part of it was that after he left, we had a chance to do some networking. So with FABA, myself, Mayor Ron Holland, and Beth Bellew. So it was just kind of good for us to discuss some of the things that we're seeing in the community and how to utilize our resources and better work together to meet needs. So that was a really good experience as well. And then there was a veteran stand down in September. This was the second time they've done this in Mason City. I did not go to the first one. But a veteran stand down typically, by definition, is in which veterans are provided supplies and services, as well as referrals to other agencies. And it's often done for homeless veterans, but this was just open to any veteran. So it was a really cool experience. There were tons of vendors, there was tons of veterans. When I left, I think they estimated well over 300 veterans had gone through the doors and probably about 230 volunteers to put it together. But it's a really good opportunity for them to access services in one place, but more importantly, to talk to one another because they don't talk to people as much as they do to other veterans. The end of August, there was $284,449 coming into Winnebago County from compensation and pension claims. And a year ago, the amount was $257,687. So I was encouraged by that. Those numbers just show consistent growth going on in my office. And I'm just going to close that sometimes I do a lot of claims and I think, am I ever going to hear back and am I ever going to get some good news? So the claims I had done in the spring are finally, some of them are getting decided. So I had a gentleman who had never filed before who unfortunately has some pretty significant conditions, and he got a 60% service connection rating out of the gate, which isn't very common. And then I had another gentleman who had not filed since like 2004 for his hearing, and he also got compensated, which he really needed to because his hearing has deteriorated quite a bit. And then I had another veteran that had filed but had only been able to get for bringing in his ears. And he's a Gulf War veteran and was able to get 40% for a condition that he's been dealing with. So not that compensation, fixes their problem, but sometimes it just makes it a little bit easier. For the gentleman that got 60%, he's on an extremely fixed income. So this is really making a huge difference for him. And so yeah, it's been a joy to be able to make those phone calls and say, hey, I got great news for you. So, and still getting lots of phone calls from people that are, still dealing with the conditions from Agent Orange and the burn pits. I now have a radiation case, and I'm getting some asbestos cases. So,
Anybody that was at Camp Lejeune?
yes, getting some Camp Lejeune. The only one I don't have so
There
far
is one other
mustard
participant.
gas. So, but my gentleman that for the radiation he is fascinating. All of his stuff he was never able to tell his parents what he did because it was classified, and it didn't become declassified until after they had passed away. And he was just like, they never knew all the stuff I did over there, and he was in pretty dangerous situations. So he is fascinating. So, yeah, I'd just like to thank you for increasing the position 40 hours. I've been there almost 2 years, and it's truly a privilege to serve these veterans. They're amazing people, and until you sit down and talk with them, you don't completely, and I still don't completely understand their sacrifice, but when you sit down and hear their stories, you get a little bit better idea of what they've done and then what they're dealing with now as a result of that service.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for all you're
You
doing.
can tell you have a servant's heart.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for me on anything?
Everybody should have more respect for what people have done, so we can whine about the things we whine about.
I know. I had met a veteran briefly, and Hancock County was without a VSO for a few months, and so he came and just wanted to check on his claim, and got a call from his wife on Friday that he was in hospice, and he passed away Friday night. Those are the hard ones. Like, I'd only met him once, but to know that his death was directly linked to his service, and so young, and he's got a wife and kids, those are the ones that are hard, and that people don't realize that, you know, they didn't just go and do a couple things and come home and now things are great. You know, that some of them paid an ultimate sacrifice when they got home with their conditions. You know, we lost people on the battlefield, but also here. So you're right. People don't understand.
And some of them we lose just mentally, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Just dealing with the things that they did.
Oh, yeah.
in service.
That's for sure.
Yep.
Well, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
yep, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
We didn't kill quite enough time.
We got other things we can do.
Can one of you stamp one of these and,
Her quarterly report.
yeah, approved? And I can trade you.
We didn't have it on here it says discuss and approve.
Well,
Shall we amend it?
and I can
It's implied.
trade you.
Yeah. This is good enough?
Yeah, I just need it signed.
It'd be good to defend.
We need to have the official approval of vote.
What's that?
We need to vote on it, don't we?
You can if you want.
I'll make a motion to approve the quarterly report from Veterans Affairs.
I'll second.
Motion Derby and a second from Smith to approve the Veterans Affairs quarterly report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Open forum.
Well, she's digging out open forum. I was gonna mention to you guys, going back to Veterans Affairs, when we were down there rearranging parking, there's two spots next to the Veterans Affairs door. And she parks in the lot to the south, and we always wanna keep those for the veterans.
Open for,
Yeah. Anyway, there's a pole right next to that, between the two lots.
a power pole.
I looked at it, it's not a power pole. We think it's telecommunications. And we don't know who. Is it Extreme that's in town or something? One of them is still active in town, competing against WCTA. The other one is kind of gone away. MediaCom, I think, is not participating much in Fort City anymore. So we're gonna maybe attempt, I talked to Daisy and asked her if she knew. She didn't know. She says, all you do is do a one call and see who responds. Maybe we can get that to move, but it looks like that pole is holding up all the rest that is going down the street the other way down, to the east. And they don't do anything. It's just a communication wire that comes to that pole. That's it. It's in the way. We could have another spot. It'd be time to do it if we can get rid of that pole. I mean, these days, if they're gonna be a vendor supply, internet for us. Most people just board it. It's pretty easy, so you don't need overhead anymore. Bigger, better things, maybe. Instead of stainless steel.
I think I saw the people return.
That is weird.
51% of our board is now a conflict of interest.
Oh,
I've got one of these already. Filled it out at home. I'll fill this one out for you. 10:15 a.m. discussion with possible action fire alarm system for public health building project.
so we're kind of at an impasse right now, a little bit. We're trying to compare apples to apples. We've got the guy from Hawkeye that kind of just gave us a quote, sort of, but without details, and the specs that were on the bid were extracted. Did everybody get a copy of that? Yeah, here's the specs that he was gonna review it and see how his compared to that, but we haven't got him back to us yet, so we may have to table this until later this week. We gotta get something decided, or the other bid's gonna be nullified. We may be, I don't know if that's gonna be a bad thing or not. All I know is something's gotta get done as we build, because there's infrastructure that goes in the walls.
Yeah, no, it's gotta be done at the proper time.
So it's kind of where we're at. The guy's gonna be back today, but hopefully he can get back to us as soon as possible.
All right, so table it until, you wanna
Well,
have a,
you were talking about having a
I was
meeting.
hoping to have a special meeting this week so we can get it taken care of.
I could come in, and if you guys wanted to call in or something, then
Because it's over $10,000.
it was, I think his original quote was 32,000
Well, I thought
something,
it was 27.
and the bid was 27,000. So there's a difference, but we don't know what apples for apples comparability is, so we've gotta figure that out before we can make an educated decision.
all right, well, then I guess we'll, table this one until further notice. And we can have a quick meeting.
Yep.
All right, I don't think we ever did the discussion of possible action contract with Methodist Church.
Did everybody get the email from Kelsey then?
Okay.
I don't know, is there something to discuss on it, really?
I don't know that I ever looked at it. I was busy yesterday. I can see if I can pull it up here.
Should I just make copies?
What did Kelsey say about it? I'm trying to remember. Look through it. She said,
She just updated what we had talked about.
yeah, so it's,
And now she sent it to Schwartz.
Robert says the trustees haven't had a chance to review it, but if it contains the additions previously asked for by the trustees, I'm assuming we'll approve it.
there's one back.
Just gotta sort the pages.
It's okay.
to have in place since we're using it. Have you been through there since we rearranged the parking? Did some, restriping of arrows. Made an arc on the north end, so you know you're supposed to loop around.
Yeah, this needs to be in place like
Now,
yesterday.
Where's Chris?
can you the room? Thank you.
She was just here.
Yeah, she was looking for you.
How much did that coffee cost?
That's free because I was in
She's not an
uniform.
elected official. Oh, no, Carla.
Are you kidding?
Quick Start gives you all fountain drinks and coffees for free if you're in uniform on duty.
You must start wearing a uniform.
Now you let my secret out.
Can we order shirts?
Sure.
I've,
Supervisors of the program.
I like to pay my taxes.
Yeah, I do feel a little guilty about this.
Why? They can order something up. I'll bring them something too.
I'm a one and done guy.
Maybe it's not what it costs, maybe what its value is.
Yeah.
Yes, I know,
See?
that's,
I gotta keep Carla happy. This is benefiting all of us.
So I would say that when's Kelsey get back? Or don't you know?
I think she'll be back today. I think,
It'd be nice if we put this at the top of the list and make sure that it gets back to Robert and the.
well,
Back to
it's
Robert.
been back to Robert. Robert has
They just
it.
haven't had it,
They just haven't had a chance to review it.
well, I'm
Well,
sure glad.
Kelsey's emailed it to us. She-
Kind of, if we're okay with this, there's still, then there'll be no changes.
So we're using it at the very minute we're talking, so.
Yeah, I think this is just, I mean, what she said in her email was, this is what everybody agreed to in June. She just forgot to send it back to Robert.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's
Wait
just,
for them to respond.
yeah, I think we just need to,
And hope they have a good Christian attitude that they forgot.
I think we just need to sign it and give it to them, and hopefully they sign it, and if there's a problem, then we address it. But I think right
But
now,
did we take action? Would we just put it on the
I
agenda
think
next
we
week
took action then, and we just,
with the changes?
yeah,
Okay, and
I
that
mean,
was,
I
that
can-
was
I
by
think we did
motion?
too, because the next step was to just give it to them. And
Yeah.
it just didn't give it to them.
it just didn't get done.
Okay, so we need to sign a copy then?
Yes, I'm pretty sure. So let me
do that today.
save
If
this.
we took action, we didn't have to sign one then? You think we would have had one to sign?
We didn't though. Let me see how, let me figure this out.
Now, the official one would be the one without everything all crossed out, right?
Yeah, let me figure it out here. Oh boy.
While you're doing that, should we do some other items?
That would be lovely.
13 maybe?
I consider for approval appointment of Molly Eichenberger as medical examiner and investigator starting January 1st, 2024. Well, I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion Jen Gold and a second from Derby to approve Molly Eichenberger as medical examiner, investigator, starting January 1st, 2024. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Who made that motion? I'm sorry.
I made it and Terry seconded.
How many of them do you guys like to have? Are you guys looking for more or MEs?
Looking for more what?
Are you looking for more MEs? Medical examiners or?
Oh, well,
I don't think so.
Think
I just
so.
was wondering.
No.
We had a paramedic go through the class, lives in Garland, but
oh,
I was just curious.
I think she.
Dale Rayhans used to do it.
And he still does, it's just,
Yeah.
like, for example, yesterday we had one, and Dale was coming from Mason, and Doc Carlson was busy, and Osterkamp was busy, and, you know.
So it just puts
So
extra
so
ones
this
on
is
there.
a replacement for the.
Well, I think maybe she's just,
I think it's just.
Getting on board to
Oh,
be,
adding.
because she now works in Forest City here, so.
Okay.
But, she used to be in the Buffalo Clinic.
I think she might be able to slip out more than Doc,
Yeah, yeah.
which would be good.
Yeah, no, she's a solid individual. Sit next to her at the football game Friday night.
that did work, lovely.
Slip it.
Carla, you still working on that, are you?
It's on the printer.
Oh, all right.
He was the one that.
Otherwise,
There we go, here.
Body training.
we got the report right there. All right, consider for approval fiscal year 22-23 REAP report.
I'll make a motion to approve the 22-23 REAP report.
I'll second.
Motion Derby and second from Smith to approve the 22-23 REAP report. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Did we do?
That's the signature one. So he just has to sign it, right?
Here is the auditors, recorders, and sheriff.
So do I need to date this the day that we approved it?
What?
The, parking lot?
2 weeks ago?
Or
No, I would
today?
approve it to put it today.
Today.
Let me see.
These will be approved.
And there was 2 REAP reports. Did you
Two.
do both of them approved?
Another signature. That was part of my motion to approve both of them.
Well, I need a
Hold on.
stamp approved
Oh, okay.
on both of them, please.
Probably there.
It makes sense to the same.
So this one was next.
I'll make the motion to approve the auditor's quarterly report.
I'll second it.
Motion from Smith and a second from Derby to approve the auditor's quarterly report. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Recorder's report.
Did we do Molly?
Yeah, it's 10:30 now, so,
He made the motion,
Oh, you did?
and I second.
yeah, you voted yes.
On Molly? I'm jumping around on this agenda today. It's
All right,
Be efficient.
10:30 a.m., Joe Kukow EMS to discuss,
Can we take care of the recorders one quick before we start?
no,
Oh,
it's 10:30.
and the
It's
sheriff
actually
and the sheriff.
10:29.
All right, 10:29.
I'll make the motion
Call to
to
order.
approve the recorder's quarterly report.
I'll second.
10:29.
Smith and Derby.
All right, a motion by Smith and a second by Derby to approve the recorders quarterly report. All in favor, say aye.
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 And if you wouldn't have been messing around, we could have had time to do the
I'll
sheriff's.
make the motion to approve the sheriff's quarterly report.
I
Thank
second.
you.
And I'm in favor too.
Did anybody second it?
I second it.
You did? Oh, I didn't hear it. Excuse me. Motion from Smith and second from Derby to approve the sheriff's quarterly report. All in favor, say aye.
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 We better stop there.
Good morning.
Morning. All right. It is 10:30 now.
Perfect timing.
It
So-
sure is.
I guess long story short, we did a bunch of bush rattling and talked to, help me with the Chevy dealership in town here.
Chevy?
Chevy?
That-
Chevy dealership.
Or City Auto.
We didn't,
Yeah.
Or City Auto.
For City Auto,
Richard.
they gave us forms to fill out to build a vehicle, but they couldn't give us a timeline even when pricing would be available. Talked to the dealership in Des Moines that had the Dodge, that worked out to be like 42 or 43,000, which they didn't have the physical vehicle. It was a contract to order a vehicle. And they couldn't give us a timeline on the purchase, the physical delivery date of the vehicle due to the strike, and won't even let us guess. And Forest City Ford found a 2023 Explorer somewhere and said, let us know in 24 hours. So that Ford Explorer is sitting back here in Forest City in the shed already. So it was kind of a really fast, holy smokes, 24 hours, wasn't it, Carla?
Yes.
So is that an Interceptor or is that
Yes,
just?
it's a police package, completely stripped down.
And I have the,
Oh, you have it.
the window sticker.
So it's sitting back here. So Ben's,
Those Interceptors, they've got a MPG rating for when you're doing 100 miles an hour.
yeah, I think so. The big difference in the police interceptor is it has increased crash protection from the rear. So like if we're sitting on the interstate or the side of the road and it gets rear-ended, it's got better protection for rear impact, better braking, stiffer suspension for better, higher speeds.
Does it have tires that don't go flat?
Police tires. Is that on it?
I might have
Police
seen
tires.
one along the road.
You may have seen one on
Near my
Saturday.
house.
That was one of our low moments in the weekend.
I heard a relative and his daughter went and fixed it.
Yep, he did. Ben from Forest City Ford came in on Saturday and came in and got us up and running. So we've got the older, Forest City Ambulance owns the older one, the 08 or whatever. Well, that had a front differential go out of it, so that's down, getting fixed. And that had been in the shop for like 2 days, and then we had a part-time paramedic going to a call up in Lake Mills, and he blew a tire at the North Junction, so we were down to zero response units. So Ben came out on Saturday and used his son's spare tire to get us through the weekend, and we're all fixed up and ready to go.
So in the meantime, you just, drove an ambulance or?
By the time the paramedic got back from the call, he had the response unit up and running again, so we just ran with the spare for the weekend, and they patched the tire this Monday, and then Monday was crazy, but we, did a pretty good job. Yesterday, I think there was either 10 or 11 medicals. And I think we had a paramedic responding to or on scene for all of them. It was just a crazy morning of running all over the county between me and Spencer. So we're doing the 212s. Trying to do 212s, or like this week I did 6 hours yesterday, 6 hours today, and then a 12-hour shift. So I'm getting my 48, and then we got part-timers working 48 hours too. And so far, whenever we've had medics on, it's been crazy
Yeah.
busy. And then we try to do things, for example, yesterday, Spencer went to meet with Buffalo Center with a car accident down in the far, I think it might have been in Cassuth County, far corner of the county.
That's a hot spot down there.
Yeah, And so then I decided to just stay home for a little bit because there's no ambulance at Buffalo Center. Because it was like right as I was getting ready to leave to come to Forest City. Well, then 15 minutes later, I had a deputy call me and they were going on a welfare check. So then we ended up out at the welfare check. So it worked, you know, we've been trying to coordinate it and keep people, places. The Forest City Ambulance and is going to set a board meeting with the Lake Mills Ambulance Board to try to work through some of the hurdles we're dealing with there with scheduling and trying to figure out how can we streamline it better where we can help you, but we gotta have better notice. And so we're gonna try to get that streamlined a little better.
Increase the communication.
You know, we're just gonna go with the two focal points of the two people it affects instead of including everyone. But I think it's still got hiccups to work out, but I think I've seen improvement, I think. But
we're here to talk about vehicles.
yeah, the other one, but that's the point, the vehicle will really help too. What do you want,
And other updates.
Oh, okay.
what do you
I
want,
didn't know that.
what did it say?
But there were other updates you're going to talk
Oh,
about.
okay. I guess, so we told them to bring it in. What, are we okay to pay for it, or you use the grant money for that?
That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Gotta spend it, so.
Well, and that's why we went with the Ford, was because we knew we could have it and get it paid for before the deadline of the grant, because who
And I
knows?
told them to put
Everything
it under
else is up
the,
in the air, so.
Yeah,
I told them to put it under Winnebago County EMS so that it's under the same name as the grant.
And the grant was valued at what?
70,000.
70,000.
And this is 47,
48.
48?
So
And then we also paid for that,
we haven't paid for it yet. We're kinda,
no, the thing that you gave us the bill for.
Lucas,
Yeah,
we haven't paid for that yet,
oh, okay.
have we? Because we
Well,
were wanting to get it back with Winnebago County EMS name on it.
oh, yeah.
But when all this vehicle stuff, we're throwing the brakes on a little bit, because if we don't have enough money with the grant to pay for it, then Forest City Ambulance will buy it, because it's a thing that we can take out of the vehicle, you know? Because that's the next thing is I've talked to Electronic Engineering in Mason City about lights and radios. What do we want for quotes? How many quotes do you guys want for like decal and radios? You want me to get 2 for everything? Do you want us, like, the ambulance typically works with Electronic Engineering, and then there's a graphic place in Ames that wraps all of our vehicles. What do you guys want us to?
And what's
These
the
guys
wrap?
have been reasonable in the past and easy to deal with, and you get good service out of them?
I don't think your grant requires
No.
multi-bids.
Okay.
I mean, if you got someplace that you're satisfied doing business with, I can't see any reason to go out and.
I think when the
Complicated.
graphics, yeah, I don't think there's any reason to complicate it either. But when the graphics, I think this board will be interested in seeing.
Proof of
Yes.
the graphics. So one thing, I was just on the phone with the t-shirt place today. We left, so this one says City of Forest City. But what we're thinking about doing is changing it, having it say Forest City Ambulance Service, like hers does. And then on the back design, where it says Forest City Ambulance, put county paramedic or county EMT, or is that acceptable, or is that, that way it's
Winnebago County,
Winnebago County? Okay,
So when he goes to.
so that when you go to Worth or Hancock or.
they know that one's
They know that,
that one's getting paid for by the neighbor.
Well, they reimburse some for it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. There, I guess.
And that's why I was gonna go with county medic instead of, because it's like, well, it's kind of a gray area, because everybody's kicking money in, but
Yeah.
your money's going for the primary medic wages, but
I just think it would unify the county. you know, with all of the other ambulances as
Yep.
well.
We were leaving Forest City on the front just because they're the managing entity, so if someone has a problem or, you know, there's an affiliation with the Forest City ambulance to, this is where you need to file your complaint.
That's
or-
where the liability lies.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep. So I got electronic engineering working on quotes for lights and radios, and we'll get going. The ambulance funded, is funding basically a $250 scholarship to help design the wrap on, we opened it up, $250 to design the wrap on the ambulance and $250 to design a wrap on the response unit. We haven't gotten much for response unit submissions. We're closed, I think we closed it.
Yeah, we meet on Sunday to pick.
Yeah, we meet on Sunday to pick, so I think we got one, and that probably won't go because it's got it's basically got the city's colors on it, like the brown and the green, and so we don't really want that. We wanted something more,
Flashy.
well, just something that didn't tie it to Forest City, you know, because it's gotta say Forest City Ambulance, like County Medic or something on there, but with it being Forest City Ambulance's license, it's gotta say Forest City Ambulance on it somewhere. But we don't necessarily want to tie it to the city's colors, or we've thought about maybe putting the school colors on it, the 3 school colors on it. We've talked about leaving it plain Jane. You know, but we'll get
Where
some
did
kind
you put that? Like,
on Facebook.
I didn't see
I
it.
never saw that either.
Well, the state saw it.
Yeah. They saw it.
Were they not happy about it?
Well, something happened behind our backs that we were unaware of 100%. And previously, Forest City Ambulance had been downgraded to a provisional paramedic service, which means there's not a guaranteed 24/7 paramedic out of Forest City, which means we weren't supposed to put the word paramedic on the side of our vehicles. So he said you either have to upgrade or take the paramedic off. So we upgraded. So we're a full ALS service again, but yes, it made it down to Des Moines. Forest City Ambulance Service. And then the members all shared it, so.
And we had sent it to each school, and then they posted it with their art classes and whatever else.
4, wasn't it? The college too.
Or college too, yeah.
Keeps going.
We're gonna have a paid lawyer on here.
Yes, I'm watching it.
Hmm.
That's our 3rd lawyer today.
Really?
Well, that's all I really had, unless you guys had other questions.
No, I
How
think
are we on the news releases? Media,
was it released?
was it released?
I probably pulled a parking lot contract thing and forgot to send it to you guys to release it. I will do that when I get back to the garage.
Sounds good.
Good.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I totally forgot. You gotta have a vote or anything, or just on the vehicle?
Yeah, let's do a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to move forward with the quote from Forest City Ford for the Ford Interceptor vehicle for the paramedics.
I'll second.
Motion Derby and a second from Smith. Go ahead, Forest City Ford for the vehicle for EMS, paid for by the grant. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're done.
Should we have the sheriff's?
Yes, I did. That one.
Oh, we already did the sheriff's. Yeah.
We want to push it back.
Well, I did write that down. Okay. We just haven't done the claims.
Push it back to the 15th.
I can find,
Can you take 5 minutes?
Not,
Sheriff?
we got
3.5?
we have 1 minute until the time going.
I know.
He's paid by the hour.
Thanks
By the
for
minute, probably.
Well, I'm not quite a lawyer, but I did sleep in the basement last night.
I noticed there was a presence of at least 3 out-of-town cops at the hotel today.
Oh, Andy Klein is probably doing
Yeah,
that.
they're doing dog training right now.
Yep.
There's a Cedar Falls, maybe somewhere else.
All right, thank you.
Andy Klein, his Tree Town canines,
Oh, okay.
he does dog training
All right.
for cops.
Guess that's good for the hotel. I know she knows what this is.
I was gonna remind her she needs to put all the, I'll wait till she gets back. She needs to have all one fiscal year on, in the same fiscal year.
I signed everything. My snapper's right in front of me. All right, 10:45 a.m. John Danos, Dorsey, and Whitney to discuss TIF and answer supervisor questions.
John, are you on the phone?
He did say he had a meeting that he didn't think would run over, but he said it might. So,
County claims?
All right, we'll hold on that and go back to number 18, consider for approval county claims.
I just wanted to remind you that, you should keep your claims in the fiscal year that they belong in.
That was for my benefit, and I apologize.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, it's always that District 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you hear what I said?
I heard.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
I approved some of those final ones.
I feel horrible.
A few years
I'm
ago.
like 3 months behind right now.
Oh,
That was-
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say, whatever.
Since the end of June for me, so.
There was a few where I had so few, I was trying to be efficient.
Did we make a motion on the claims?
No.
Not yet.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the county claims.
Second,
A motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve the county claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. now he's on.
John, are you on the phone?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, John. Got the county supervisors here along with the auditor. We had already announced.
How's everybody?
Good, good. So I'm the one that was raising all the questions. I went to the state training for the new code, that section that limits us on what we can tax for and so forth, and there was indication that it may be beneficial to TIF to lower your valuations and kind of get below that window. Have you heard any of that yet?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the way things stand at present, I do think that avenue is available. Certainly valuations that are being utilized to leverage TIF revenues do wind up being outside of the limitation formulas in House File 718. I don't have any sort of a crystal ball, but I have, at least in my imagination, a suspicion that that's a short-lived type of avenue, and that we may see further legislative developments in this next session that would close that down, but that's more than I know. That's just speculation on my part.
Right, right. Well, and what alarms me is, we have two different turbine farms that are ramping up on valuations. And so we're halfway through the valuations about now on the one farm where we've it's increased to 13.5 million, and it's gonna be 27 million by the time it's done. So are we able to, at this point, capture any, future, increased valuations and do any road projects?
If the question is, future growth in valuation on those on those turbine parcels, could you put that into a TIF environment now and avail yourself of those valuation increases that are slated to happen in the future as that valuation graduates onto the tax rolls per the kind of special, wind generation formula? The answer is yes. That's set up to be a 5-year gradual accrual of valuation or recognition of valuation. And presumably you're 1 or 2 or 3 years into that. So there will be a certain number of years of remaining accrual ahead of you. You could put that into a TIF environment and utilize that new valuation that's yet to be put on the tax rolls as incremental value for TIF production. That could be done.
Yeah, see, we've been kind of resistant to do anything on that farm when it started because we had, TIF, we were, per capita, the largest TIFer in the state. We had the biggest debt. And so we kind of wanted to get that off the record before we did any more, but we're kind of coming to the end of that in a few years. And we do have projects we could use it for. And if it benefits us as far as our budgeting with the new rules, it seemed like it might be a benefit in more than one way.
Sure. I would certainly say that avenue is available to you. If that's what you folks want to do from a policy perspective, that can be accomplished.
I look at, we have some road projects we have to invest in the next, so many years. Would we do incremental road projects each year as the values increase, borrow against it and pay it back? And how would we do that?
Yeah, well, there's two approaches with that. One approach is to do what I think you did before, which would be to say, here's a slate of projects that we're going to accomplish in the next 24 months. Let's go borrow $5 million, $7 million, whatever the number is, in order to provide funding, capital to pay for those projects during that, 18 to 24 month construction period. And you borrow for 2 construction seasons and you get done what you can get done in that time window. That's one approach. And then as the TIF comes in over time, assuming it does, then you use that money to retire the debt. That's one approach. The other approach would be to do more of, for lack of a better way to describe it, a pay-as-you-go type of methodology where I'm going to make up a number, okay? Let's say your annual TIF production off of this additional wind farm property is $500,000. I'm just making that up. You could each year identify $500,000 of highway improvements, road improvements, culverts, bridges, whatever, update your urban renewal plan to make sure that those projects are identified. And then maybe do an internal loan. Find a place where you have lawfully available cash on hand, advance that towards paying that season's $500,000 of project costs, and then you recover the TIF to repay your internal loan. And you just repeat that cycle annually, where you're never going out and borrowing a large sum of money and capitalizing or leveraging the future TIF. You're just doing 1 year at a time and paying that back in the next fiscal year cycle, and then just repeating that every year that you want to continue doing it. Those are the two approaches. I'm not the arbiter of wisdom. I don't think, probably not the best person to tell you what the better approach is for your particular fiscal and policy situation, but those are the two models that are available.
What type of project can you use the money on? Is it limited, you can't use it on public buildings?
No, actually, the whole key with TIF is number one, it is exclusively a debt repayment tool, right? So you always have to keep in mind as a local government, you're not ever accumulating TIF to pay contractors or project costs. TIF ultimately is a debt repayment tool, either internal loans like I just described, or external loans like a bank note or a bond issue. Either of those can qualify as debt, but TIF is exclusively a debt repayment tool. For what? Well, for debts that you undertake as a county to pay for urban renewal projects that you folks at the board approve and describe in your urban renewal plan. What can be an urban renewal project? Well, that's an evolving list because the law is not super restrictive. Anything that you folks deem to be important and necessary for furthering economic development in your urban renewal area, as long as that's just not an absolutely foolish or false finding, that can be an urban renewal project. So certainly any of your kind of classic public infrastructure type items like roads and highways and bridges and culverts, but also think sanitation related, stormwater drainage related assets, certainly any kind of drinking water or potable water related assets, gas, electric, any of that sort of thing, particularly if it's related to commercial or industrial or agribusiness development, that's all pretty well slam dunk territory. Public buildings have been the recipient of TIF support in a whole lot of city and county environments. The question becomes, is that the public building that's being improved, is there an economic development angle to that? I'll give you an example. You've had counties not super far from you that have built a courthouse annex where they were going to have all of their zoning and their economic development department, et cetera. And they've used TIF to help pay down the bonds for that courthouse annex, that the board felt comfortable making a finding that there was an economic development connection between the facilities that were being built, the functions that were going to be housed there, and furthering the economic development cause of the county. There may be other circumstances where, I'm just making this up, but you're just fixing the roof on some facility that already exists, and it's really just kind of an ordinary maintenance item. It's not furthering any kind of economic development at all in your eyes, that you might decide that public building project is just not appropriate. It's not a good fit. Ultimately, the discretion is left to you folks, lucky you, at the Board of Supervisors table to make those kinds of findings.
Right.
What we have found over the years is that as long as it's a rational finding, there's some evidence and thought going into it, the courts are going to be very, very hesitant to just say, well, our judgment is better than theirs. Let's just say they were wrong. The courts don't want to do that, because you all are the elected officials charged with making those determinations. So as long as there's a rational basis and some reasonable thought going into the findings that you make, you're typically going to be pretty safe with making those kinds of findings.
I think we could probably manage it. We have all kinds of different, even beyond road projects and bridge projects, there's some other things that are kind of in the works and structure-wise, and I think we can probably justify it. What's the timeline? Okay, so the confusing part for me, you have your assessors here, you have your auditors here, and you have your treasurers here. Valuation on those turbines, where's the cutoff to where we can start leveraging a TIF against that? Is it after the assessor has valued it?
So, from where we're sitting today, October 3rd, 2023, what I would expect, and you should be able to confirm this with your assessor's office, is that, at this point, the property valuations as of January 1, 2023, should pretty well be set in stone. Those are the valuations that people are going to be paying property taxes on in your county fiscal year 25. Okay?
Because we're sitting in 24 right now, so what will be...
You're in fiscal year 24.
Okay.
Right now, the effective valuations are January 1 of 2022. That's what everybody's paying property taxes on right now.
Right.
So, the TIF law, if you follow me on this, I'm assuming with what you've described that if we looked at the wind turbine parcels that you're thinking about right now, and we looked at the January 1, 2022 values, the ones that taxes are being paid on right now, and then we looked at January 1 of 2023 for those same parcels, that we would see a jump in the valuation.
Right.
An increase. If the county wanted to take advantage of that differential, that incremental jump, you would need to get your urban renewal plan updated, get the new wind turbine property added to the area, and placed under a TIF ordinance by no later than December 1 of this fall.
Wow.
Okay? Now, again, I want to emphasize, that's if you're trying to avail yourself of an incremental growth between January 1 of 22 and January 1 of 23. That may not be realistic at this point, and you may be more forward-looking, thinking that you want to take advantage of future increases after January 1 of 23. In other words, I don't know where you're at with the phase-in of valuation cycle on these wind turbines. I don't know if there's 3 years left, 5, 4 years left, whatever.
I was thinking that it sounded like we were about halfway or something in the what you would consider the January of 2023 valuation. So
Any guess when those turbines were built?
it was, I think 2022, the January 1, 2022, oh, shoot, I got it somewhere. The assessor had sent it to me. Let me see if I can find it, if it's in this book or not.
One by rate.
Yeah,
Online in 21, didn't they?
yeah, but they have a 0 year after that, and then they have a, 20% year or whatever, or they call it 5% year.
Well, and that's why I was just trying to get a read on when you think they were completed. We think that was calendar year 21?
Yeah,
It seems like it, but
so they had a 0 year after that.
Yeah, and the first year after that is always the 0 year. So if they were built in 21, I would expect that the January 1 of 2022 valuations, again, remember, that's what's being paid right now, that would have been your 0 year. So no growth in value between January 1 of 22 valuations, or I'm sorry, January 1 of 21 and January 1 of 22. Then you would expect with the January 1 of 23 tax rolls that the phase-in of that valuation would begin. And so, like you said, probably about 20% of the ultimate value of each turbine being reflected in the January 1 of 23 tax rolls, that's the taxes that'll get paid next fiscal year that you haven't even done the budget for, FY25. And if what we just described is true, you maybe have enough time, that's a big maybe, to go at breakneck speed and try to get these ducks in a row to create what would be the 0 year, the 22 tax rolls, as the frozen base for TIF purposes. Honestly, I'm not sure that that's wise or plausible, given the short amount of time and the fact that I know you all have a lot of decision making to do about what your project list would look like.
Well,
It might be more realistic to look at having this done by next fall
some of
and
this,
trying to take advantage of the remaining valuation.
some of this is already in 5-year plans, So the engineering department has, some of that already
Sure.
in queues, so they know what that's gonna be. There's also another project that the engineering department's been working on could be part of this too, so that's not roads. So we do have some things.
But so would it be easier on the two models that you explained though? The second one is pay as you go each year? Could you just identify that years?
Yeah, you can do that either way.
So doing it that
You can do that either way.
Doing that way, you don't have to go back and have public hearings every year after that if you've already established the urban renewal and the purpose?
As long as the internal loans that you do are for authorized urban renewal projects that were included in the plan at the outset, then you won't need to amend the plan every year.
Right.
The law does require you as a county to do public hearings when you do these, what the law calls non-current or internal borrowing. And we'll walk you through that process when you need to do them. It's not the scariest thing in the world.
Okay. Carla, did you have any questions on this? I think I got all my questions answered.
I think we're good.
Well, thanks for the information on this, and I think we have to look.
You're quite welcome.
We have to look at that infamous tax calculator or valuation calculator that ISAC has and see how we are going to be affected this year and see if it's worth the time. So, thanks for your information.
You're welcome. Keep me posted. Let us know how we can be helpful.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
You bet. Have a good day, everybody.
Get everything?
I think so. We stand adjourned.